It's time for AggroChat, the official podcast of the Tales of the Aggronaut blog and stalwart gaming community, where we talk about stuff and things, and the stuff about the things, and sometimes gaming. I'm Belgast, and let's start the show. Hey folks, it's that time again. Time for another episode of AggroChat. This is episode 228. Tonight I'm joined by Ashgar.
Don't blame me, blame yourself or God.
Grace.
Hello.
Kodra.
I know the reference, but I don't know where it's from.
Tam.
You have no way to survive. Make your time.
Would you have preferred I went with "'Tis your birth and faith and that wrong you, not I"?
It's a way less good. It's way less good than the.
And Phelan.
But enough talk. Have at you.
So, I had a really weird experience today, and I'm going to lead with this as it's not like a full topic. So, I know, Grace, you've gone to this whole thing where you go see a movie with an orchestra playing the soundtrack.
I've done this once. It was Star Wars. It was the best thing, and now basically I am spoiled and can never watch Star Wars again without a live orchestra.
So, it was really freaking cool, except for I sat beside what I am guessing is a Harry Potter ultra fan. Because, like, for the first 30 minutes to an hour of the movie, I was listening to the dialogue on the screen and the person 2 seats over saying every last word of the dialogue on the screen, all the parts.
Oh,
which
wow.
made it really distracting to
That
watch
would
the
get
movie.
really, that would get really old really fast.
Yeah, so, like, other than that, it was really cool, and thankfully, like, after the 45-minute mark, hour mark, that all stopped, but...
I mean, I would have had to have said something at that point, like, well before 45 minutes, because just, no, you could do that at home.
Yeah.
There's a special hell for people who, talk in the theater.
Yeah, so it was weird, but, like, it was really cool. I'll probably do it again, like they're doing Prisoner of Azkaban next year, so I am hoping we get the Star Wars films, because, like, so far your experience of, like, what's playing in your area has been about a year ahead of what's playing in my area.
Well, hopefully, I mean, I don't know if they did more than one of them or not. I know they did a bunch of the Harry Potters also that I did not go. But now that I've seen how amazing it is, I kind of want to go see everything. I know I think they did, like, at least one Indiana Jones. Yeah, it is a fantastic experience, and if you have the opportunity to do this thing, go and do it. And also, don't be a jerk. Don't be that idiot who goes to see a live orchestra performing the score of a movie and get up and leave during the credits.
Yes,
and miss the
exactly.
entire end of the performance.
I mean, thankfully they did a truncated credits, so, like, basically they did the major credits that they played through, and then they all did their encore after that as the other credits rolled. But it was really cool. Like, and it's weird is, like, they also are going to do Home Alone for Christmas, which is not exactly a movie that I think of as a great musical score, but, like, maybe it's just been a while since I've watched it.
That's weird. Yeah, I don't know, maybe.
Yeah, I can see that working.
I mean, I have this theory that this is basically a way of getting new kinds of people into the orchestra.
Oh, yeah. And I think it's fantastic for that. Like, it gets families in there with kids. Like, it's great.
Yeah, I mean, like, the Tokyo Symphony Orchestra has been doing this for years and years with, like, video game scores and anime and all sorts of stuff, and it clearly works well there. I'd be shocked if it didn't here.
Well, I mean, the fancy thing about this, like, I went when they were performing the Final Symphony, so the Final Fantasy music, and that was great. But the really amazing thing about this was that it was played with the actual movie playing. So you were watching Star Wars with, John Williams' score being performed live, and it was just intense.
The funny thing is, though, is I kind of forgot at times that I had a live orchestra there, that I just got into the experience of just watching the movie.
So, like, I'm kind of curious, where does the live orchestra sit? Are they, like, in the front, or is this a special theater? Like, what's that like?
No, it's just they're up on stage, and, like, in the case of the one that I had, like, they've just got a screen suspended like up in the air, and like the movie's on that, and the orchestra's kind of in front and behind at the same time. Like it's kind of over the orchestra.
Yeah, I mean, where I saw it, you know, it was in the regular symphony hall where they have the normal concerts for that orchestra, and they just suspended a screen above the stage, so it's sort of right above the front, like, string section.
Yeah, that's kind of what it was here too. Yeah.
So like the only thing that made me sad is that like I couldn't see most of the brass from where I was sitting. But what was really cool is that you could see, had a really good view of the conductor, and you could see that he had a screen with, you know, that was basically showing him the timing of all of his cues. And so that was really cool. It was actually playing the movie on the screen with like a little, you know, almost like follow the bouncing dot kind of thing, like going to show where all the cues were for the
By the way, the brass are happy you can't see them get bored.
Look, I was the brass. That's why I like watching them.
I couldn't see percussion at all, and that was my group. So yeah, like it felt weird. What was cool though was like the conductor was super into it. He was dressed in like a Gryffindor, you know, tie with like a Gryffindor scarf, and
oh, that's awesome.
That's great.
yeah, no, he was super into it. He was like, you know, this isn't like a normal orchestra, so like when you get to parts that you want to cheer about, feel free to cheer about.
Yeah, they did say that during before the Star Wars performance too. Like, feel free to, you know, cheer and applaud or whatever. And it was funny. It was the first time that I have watched a Star Wars movie, and you know, a lot of times I've watched Star Wars in the theater. There's been applause at various things, but this is the first time that there was applause for the composer.
It's so, the experience of applause in a theater is so weird, because that's definitely not something that I've ever seen before living here. And like now I go to Star Wars movies and everybody is enough of a giant nerd to cheer for everything.
See,
Yeah.
the time that I really noticed that was when they did the re-releases of the original trilogy.
Mhm.
Yes.
Like
Yeah.
when they did those in the theater, like it was this raucous party of Star Wars fans.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd only ever seen it for like special events before, whereas here in, you know, when we go see movies now, it's like, oh yeah, no, people definitely cheer, and it's definitely still weird, but it's also kind of cool that it's just this big party.
Yeah, especially like going on opening nights for Star Wars and various things. You get a lot of excitement. That's what's really fun, I think, about those.
So we're in this weird time period where like a ton of things are coming out right now, and I know like some of these blend together. And Ash, you've been playing Spyro?
Spyro Reignited Trilogy just came out. This is a remake of the first three Spyro games, sort of as they existed on the PlayStation, similar to the Crash remakes that came out last year, except unlike Crash, the first three Spyro games are actually good games.
I mean, I feel like I really like the second Crash game.
A lot of people like the second Crash game, and turns out that's the only one people still like. I don't think 3 is that bad. 3 is just kind of gimmicky. I mean, Spyro 3 actually has the same problem. But yeah, these are just faithfully recreating all of the old levels, all of the old dragons, which all have new designs, which is kind of impressive. And it's just, these games are actually still fun to play, and they made a tiny, tiny little quality of life adjustment that makes a lot of difference. If you like press in on one of the thumbsticks, your dragonfly friend will point you toward the nearest treasure in the stage.
Ooh, that
So
seems like... Oh.
And that's important because it's really easy to miss like 2 pieces of treasure in a game that rewards completion.
Right.
So I've been having a lot of fun playing through Spyro 1. I'm about 40% of the way through now, a little more than that. I'm in the Magic Crafters world, having completed 2 flight levels, 2 boss levels, and a whole bunch of normal levels. Flight levels are kind of hard, normal levels are mostly not. But it's really interesting just to see the like modern interpretation of some really old games without changing the gameplay at all.
I mean, I feel like Monster Boy kind of did that too. Like, it reminded me a heck of a lot of the Genesis games.
The Wonder Boy one that came out?
Yeah, the Wonder Boy one yeah, that's right. Wonder Boy has come out. Monster Boy has yet to come out.
Right. That was same concept basically.
I like that about Ratchet and Clank also. I mean, that was a bit more reimagined than it sounds like these were, I guess, but
Yeah.
still, like, very reminiscent of the original game.
The thing I liked about the Ratchet and Clank game is it's not necessarily like a accurate recreation,
right.
But it plays like we remember it playing.
Yeah, I'm amazed they managed to hit that level without changing anything.
That is impressive.
I mean, it also did feel that way about Wonder Boy, since that game was even let you use the old graphics because they didn't change anything about it. Spyro does not let you do that, but that's fine. But it sort of reminds me of like the Gen 3 Pokemon remakes when they remade Red and Blue as Fire Red and Leaf Green, or well, the Pokemon Let's Go games that just came out on Friday.
And now we're blending into that discussion.
I love this game so much.
This one's way stickier than any Pokemon game has ever been for me. And like I just started playing it today, but like I played down my battery in the Switch and then learned that, oh no, I can't play the same way that I was playing downstairs once I went upstairs and complained about that on, Slack. But and now have adjusted and am playing while we sit here and record.
I'm curious what you mean by that.
It's stickier for me because, like, I do not give a shit about Pokemon battling. I want to catch Pokemon.
I'm more I don't get what that means from the perspective of you can't play upstairs the way you play downstairs.
Okay, so like it's vastly different playing while docked as opposed to playing in handheld mode. Like I expected to be able to use my Pro controller and do the same thing I was doing in handheld mode.
Nope.
And that is not a thing.
It's got like 4 different control schemes based on how you want to do things. And they're pretty different. And it's cool. I think the whole thing is really cool. But yeah, there's definitely oh no, there's a bunch of different ways you could play this. And maybe it's not all helpful to you.
Yeah, like, because honestly, handheld mode feels way better than playing with the Joy-Cons detached, like I'm having to through docked mode.
So is it you don't battle Pokemon, you just use Pokeballs to capture them?
You don't battle wild Pokemon.
Yeah.
And, like, I can't explain why that feels infinitely better, but, like, it always felt weird that I spent most of my time just beating up random woodland creatures.
Yeah. There's something, yeah, I like it a whole lot because you battle other trainers. And so I get my, like, this makes sense that I'm battling Pokemon here, but it gets rid of all of the weirdness around, like, capturing and other things. Because, like, in previous games, you'd want to beat up wild Pokemon just enough and then capture them. And, like, sure, it's the thing that everyone had been doing forever, but also it's really weird. And this gets rid of that. You catch Pokemon kind of like you'd catch them in Pokemon Go, and then you train them and battle them against other trainers. And so the battles you get into are trainer battles.
That's cool.
But I have the same thing as Bel, is it's way more sticky to me than most Pokemon games because I don't feel like I'm fighting the game to do the things I want to do, which I like.
I was definitely hesitant about the whole thing. And given the context of how one normally plays Pokemon game, it feels weird to just catch things by throwing a bunch of Pokeballs at them and just throwing a bunch of Pokeballs at them. It feels like I'm in the Safari Zone and can't leave, ever.
Yeah, I can definitely see that.
Can I just say how much better it looks than any other Pokemon game?
Oh, it looks fantastic. The level of custom animations for like your trainer and Pikachu or Eevee are delightful. Like just hilarious and fun.
But
then like the fact that Team Rocket looks vastly different than any other trainer battle. Like you got the whole intro sequence for everyone, even like a Rocket Grunt.
They've been doing that for a while, and I appreciated it when they started, like in Gen 5, I want to say.
I feel like this is one of those things that probably makes a lot of people angry because it's different, but I feel like I like the things that it's doing differently a lot. Like I think that they are just, like, from my perspective, they are conceptual and gameplay improvements, full stop.
There's a lot of under the hood stuff that is missing, some of which is for the better, some of which is kind of not. Like I miss abilities and held items. I miss both of those things.
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah, there's dimensions there that it doesn't really quite have that the later ones have. I like candies.
Candies are cool. Candies are an improvement over how EVs normally work.
Yeah. I don't miss abilities because I hate when I finally see a rare Pokemon and catch it and it's garbage. Like, that is a bad feeling.
What do abilities have to do with that?
Aren't abilities random per...
Nope.
I thought you could
abilities
have bad...
are like, Chansey has cute charm, so you have a chance to get attracted if you hit it.
Oh. I'm confusing them with natures.
Natures are in this game.
Yeah.
Are they? Well,
Yeah, I mean...
But because of the way the candies work, they are also kind of irrelevant.
Okay, I'm okay with this.
I still feel weird that I'm sending random Pokemon off to the professor to grind into candy. But that's a thing that I feel weird about with Pokemon Go.
Yeah, that's the thing I always felt weird about in Pokemon Go.
Yeah, it's a little... Yeah, it's not less weird here, admittedly. There's a lot of... Pokemon seems to have shifted from one kind of weird set of things that you do to a different kind of weird set of things that you do. Like, sure, you're not, like... It doesn't have the, like, oh, I beat up some woodland creature and trap it in a ball and then make it fight for me. Like, that's kind of a weird place to be. But no, now you just catch tons of them, and...
Some of them you send off to the professor to do who knows what with.
Yeah, but you get candy in return.
The Pokeblender is not a happy place. Like, I totally picturing him, like, sticking Pokemon into a blender and then, like, pouring them into an ice cube tray that then becomes our candy.
I feel like this is like the Pokemon subtext that doesn't actually exist but exists in our heads. Like the whole nature of the relationship between your character's mother and the professor in every Pokemon game.
Yeah. Look. Some of those are made more or less explicit.
Yeah, I noticed that this one is pretty light on the whole, like, suggestiveness there.
In contrast, there is X and Y.
Oh, yeah. That's the one
I feel
where,
like this is also, like, the least asshole rival that we've had.
That's okay, because the old asshole rival shows up.
He's actually... Even the old asshole rival is less of a dick than... Like, he's still a dick, but he's less of a dick than he is in the original.
I mean,
Sure.
like, I don't know how any rival could be less of an asshole than the Alolan rival.
Oh no, this is
Like, that one's the nicest rival ever.
Yeah,
This one's close.
This one is close.
So, like, I was totally expecting the rival to be horrible, which is why I named the rival Buttface.
And now you feel kind of bad about it.
Now I kind of feel bad. Like, Buttface shows up to cheer you on. Like, aw, man.
I named mine Chad and have similar feelings.
So, the one that I always remember, was it XY, where you are basically the rival?
Yes, that's the one where you have all these friends and you are basically the asshole rival to them.
Yeah. They're like, yay, I've gotten a little bit better. I'm not very good, but let's battle. And you, like, crush their face in.
Exactly, like, because they're real bad.
They're not good.
They're all pretty impressed with your skills, though, and they're all
Wow.
rooting you on.
Wow, you're so much better than me.
That just makes it worse. Yeah, XY does... Is XY the one where, like, you run into the professor who's just like, oh, I'm checking in on your mom?
Yeah, that one.
Yeah.
XY is the one where the professor also delivers a letter to your mom. Like, they decided to just turn it all the way up there for that one. Whereas, like, Sun and Moon, it's a little different because apparently you're cousins with the professor or something. So they don't mention anything like that at all.
I do enjoy Pokemon subtext. I will never get... So, the bit where you have your, like, your Pikachu or Eevee, genuinely hilarious. Like, the interactions you have with the incredibly well animated companion Pokemon are delightful. I will never get tired of watching my trainer hurl Pikachu like a discus into battle.
That animation is amazing.
It's so funny. Like, it's already funny hearing Pikachu, like, try to sound mad because it doesn't. But watching you just, like, spin around and, like, discus throw it into battle.
Okay, so,
I
like,
mean,
who went with which versions? Like, I went with Eevee.
I went with Pikachu.
I also have Eevee.
I was gonna say, if you want Angry Pikachu, have I got a trailer for you?
Oh boy, yes.
Mr. Mime is the stuff of nightmares, no matter what form it takes.
Like, yeah, so he was exactly like he should be in the trailer.
Yes.
That movie looks amazing. I can't wait. I've never gone to see a Pokemon. I've never seen any of the Pokemon movies. Certainly not in the theaters. This one I'm probably going to have to see in the theater.
I mean, like, so the reason why I've not watched any of the Pokemon movies is that I kind of want to beat Ash Ketchum to death because he annoys me. Like, I'm fine with Misty, I'm fine with Brock, but Ash, he just annoys the shit out of me.
I hear the original Pokemon movie is something of a classic.
I actually
Sure,
saw
the
that one in
first
the
one.
theater.
I also saw that one in theaters. And then after the first one, they didn't stop making them.
It's true, but if you haven't seen any, which I also haven't seen any, but I hear I should go and watch the first
Sure, maybe.
Is the first one the one that makes everybody cry? I know one
Yes.
makes everybody cry. Yeah.
I mean, I feel like the biggest problem that I have with Pokemon in general is the fact that I was an adult when it came out.
Yeah.
Didn't stop
like-
me from going to see the first movie in the theater.
I would have felt weird going to see the Pokemon movie in theaters.
I
mean,
would've,
like I'm a dumpy fat guy, and me alone in a theater full of kids would just feel awkward.
I was the target age, so
I went on a date.
That sounds great, actually.
It was.
Basically, this game is just charming as hell.
It's super charming. I mean, it's probably no surprise to anybody that I am excited about any time game mechanics or games are reinvented from like lessons learned over years. And I'm pretty sure I'm on record as saying that Pokemon as a game series, like as much as it's like diehard fans argue, I think that has been in dire need of a like game-wide mechanics update for quite a while, and this is kind of that. And I think it's great for it. Like, it's not earth-shattering changes, but it's cool, it's varied. It gets rid of a lot of the like basic grind frustrations. It is a little weird still hearing Pokemon calls in original Game Boy sounds.
they got updated in X and Y. Just
Did they?
not very much.
Yeah, that's still a little weird to me, but
It's still a little weird.
So how good is this game at just letting you play it and kind of, turn your brain off and just do stuff?
Really good.
Crazy good.
There's not been a situation where I have gotten to a gym and not been plenty leveled to take out a gym so far.
That's kind of what I mean when I say like I like that it. One of the things that has characterized Pokemon games for me that I've always found frustrating is if I want to find a Pokemon, I have to run around in the tall grass and get into fight after fight after fight, hoping that one of these is the right one. And then if it is, hoping that I can get it in just the right state to catch it. And it's not like none of that's trivial because unless you like specifically set up this is my like catching Pokemon that can never quite kill anybody or whatever it is. There's a lot of like there's a lot of mental cycles that go into just the basic game loop that I find kind of tedious, but are also necessary. Whereas this gets rid of a lot of those and replaces them with other things that I feel like mesh better. Like if I want to catch a Pokemon, I drop a lure and I run around, but it's not a juggling act around when am I going to run out of potions or am I going to get into a fight that like something gets lucky and kills one of my Pokemon or something. It's more like I find, I don't know, I might run out of Pokeballs or lures, or I'm trying to work on a chain and I have to be like kind of careful about it because I need to dodge the Pokemon I don't want to be catching, because you get a chain bonus if you catch the same type of Pokemon a whole bunch.
Yeah, I will say like it can be frustrating when you're like looking for a super rare and you're just wading through a sea of things you don't want to catch.
That still
It's like-
sounds infinitely better than having that exact same experience but having to fight all of them.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, like, I was looking for a Bulbasaur earlier, and it took me forever to finally get one to show up.
But it's super exciting to see it pop up in the world and, like, actually physically run over and chase it down.
Right. Well, like, so right before we started the podcast, like, I was kind of freaking out because a Clefable spawned, and, like, they're of appropriate scale, and it's nonsense to see a Clefable.
Oh, wow.
Oh, yeah.
I have an Arcanine. I can ride around on the back of this Arcanine.
like, so when I got an Onyx to spawn, and now I can ride around on an Onyx.
Oh, yeah. That's the other thing, is things are kind of in scale with each other. They're not, like, totally in scale, but they're pretty close. So, like, my Magikarp became a Gyarados, and I pitted it against somebody's Rattata, and, like, the battle cam panned way out. So this tiny Rattata, and then, like, giant Gyarados.
I missed
Could you
that
even
so
see the Rattata?
much. They haven't done this since, like, the Stadium games on the
It's
GameCube.
so funny. Like, it's legitimately really funny to me watching this, like, giant thing pop out of the ball and then the camera pan way back. Like, whoa, okay. Also it's too big. That one's too big to follow you around outside of the Pokeball.
Yes, it is.
I also managed to catch a Chansey, which I was very surprised at. And had it follow me around. And I never really watched the show or have done any of the, like, played any much outside of the main game. So I've never really gotten a great sense of Pokemon sizes relative to anything else other than, you know, reading the descriptions. And I'm like, oh, that thing's 15 feet tall or whatever. But seeing Chansey, like, Chansey's tremendous. I thought it was, like, I don't know, the size of a water balloon. No, it's like, it's bigger than the hiker dude.
I mean, the ones in the Pokemon Center are about the right scale, and they're about, like, 4 feet high.
Yeah.
So maybe you just got a giant one.
I did get a very large one, but it's even the ones in the Pokemon Center. I'm like, that's really big. I had in my head they were always like they could sit on the palm of your hand, kind of big. Not I could ride around on the back of this thing.
I do find it funny. Like, isn't this the first Pokemon game where the system that you have in your room is the system it's playing on?
Probably. They tend to put the latest console in there, and Pokemon games tend to release on handhelds.
Yeah.
Because the Switch isn't a handheld. Cough, cough.
I mean, that's what they think, but really, it is. Has anyone gotten far enough to figure out how things work with Pokemon Go? Like, I've bound my account to it, but past that, I've not done anything.
I haven't even done that. The Go Safari Center replaces the Safari Zone, so it's going to be a bit. Means you have to get down to Fuchsia City somehow. So either badge 5 or 6.
Okay.
Depending on the order in which you do things.
Since that discussion kind of wound down.
So I'm curious, Bel, is this going to be your new going to sleep game?
It might be. Like I mean, okay, so this is as good as it is. Like, normally I am one of those people that, I'm not going to play on a mobile device unless I don't have access to something else. Like, this morning, I was downstairs and I had the laptop in front of me and was watching stuff on YouTube while playing Pokemon Let's Go on my Switch. So, like, that, like, for most people, that won't be a significant thing, but for me, that's a really significant thing.
I mostly asked this question because it's a segue to, oh my goodness, I'm playing so much Diablo.
Yeah, same.
And I don't know if you've listened to this podcast, but I famously don't really like Diablo.
Also same. Yeah, Diablo Switch. So I had this transformative experience playing Diablo Switch where I was like, wow, I understand what people like about this game. Suddenly.
You understand what Grace and I do all the time?
Well, it's just like, I have never... The basic control scheme for Diablo on the PC, I hate.
Yes.
Just the basic clicky mouse interaction, I'm already out. So everything else that the game is doing, I can't enjoy because really what I want to be doing is moving with WASD and aiming with the mouse. I don't want movement and aiming to be inextricably linked.
Correct.
And there's no way to play PC Diablo this way. The moment I get a controller in my hand and I can move independently of my shooting, it works. It works for me.
I really wish they had ever made full support for controller on the PC version.
Now I do too.
Like, it's
Right?
really incredibly silly that they've never done this thing, because Diablo's pretty much always had a console version.
I do understand why they didn't do this thing, but I think it's kind of silly.
So I'll tell you my story with Diablo is I played Diablo 3 as a demon hunter because that was the only thing that made any sort of sense to me, and I didn't immediately like die and get frustrated with because like I kind of guess I understand point and shoot clicking to like shoot from a ranged weapon. I always tried the melee characters and I thought they were utter nonsense that like I didn't understand how you could even possibly do this. So I was like, all right, I'll give this a try. Let's see, what's the least likely thing that I will enjoy? Sure, Barbarian. Let's roll up the Barbarian and see how I love it. See how I feel about it. I freaking love the Barbarian. Oh my goodness, this is so much fun. I'm like, I don't, like, I guess it's because the ability to, like, precision move with the Barbarian feels so much better with a thumbstick rather than with a like mouse click to moving it. But and with the little flick of the thumbstick to be able to do a little bit of a roll, I just feel like I have an incredible amount of control. I'm able to set up combos that are able to like really tank myself. Oh, this feels so good to play. So good to play.
I'm so pleased. Like, the only thing that makes me sad about this whole thing is that there's no crossplay, so I can't actually share this joy with you guys because I don't have a Switch. But
that also makes me very sad. Like, I wish we could share this game with each other. I'm upset that like if all it was, and I think there's more to it than it's just the Switch has a little bit of additional magic because this game is so good at being like, well, it takes 2 minutes to do a bounty. I can do like 5 bounties before I go to bed.
So the only problem that I have with this game so far, as far as the portability, is the fact that you cannot do a seasonal character if you do not have internet connectivity.
Yeah, okay, but that's fair, but I'm also, like, mostly playing it inside of my house. Like, again, like, as somebody else is using the TV, or as I'm, like, going to bed, or as I'm waiting for fusion cores to process. I just can be playing Diablo and watching numbers go up.
I've made significantly less progress than y'all have, mostly because playing Diablo on the Switch is really good, but it also feels really weird to me.
I can understand that.
Because I'm very used to a specific way of playing Diablo, and this feels so much slower.
Interesting. How does it feel slower?
Yeah, that's
the
my
console
question, too.
versions and the PC version are not balanced the same.
No,
The console version
the mob
has
density
fewer,
is not the
stronger
same.
enemies.
Yeah.
And the console version is the screen real estate on the console version is different.
The angle is different as well. Like the camera angle is vastly different between the two versions. So it feels like I would be way further ahead on the console version, level wise, as opposed to where I'm at right now. But then again, like I'm not playing like I would on the PC version. I'm actually running through the story, so that I've at least beaten it once on the console. Whereas like when I play on PC, I never do the story. Like I always do adventure mode or whatever it's called.
Is there any reason I should have run through the story first?
There's achievements, and you unlock banners and things like that.
I mean, it's probably worth seeing the story one.
Okay.
But I think the cool thing is that you can kind of do it in bits and pieces as you feel like it, instead of being forced to play through the story before you can unlock adventure mode, which is a huge quality of life improvement.
I was gonna say, I have seen the story. I played through the game at launch. I saw the story. I hadn't played Diablo 1 or Diablo 2 really, so I had only heard people talk about the amazing story of Diablo.
Oh, I would never have called it
Wait,
the
what?
amazing story of Diablo.
Yeah,
Yeah, who called it
Who
that?
said that?
I feel
No.
like there are a lot
Someone-
of people who are really invested in the story, not in this podcast, but out like people are really
You are
impressed.
correct. There are some Diablo 2 diehards that don't remember that the expansion is also what made that game good.
There are also people who are absolutely in love with it's peak Blizzard storytelling.
I wouldn't even call it that.
Mm,
I mean, it's Blizzard storytelling. It's not. I wouldn't call it peak anything. I mean, I enjoy it, and I think it's worth seeing, but it's probably worth seeing once and then not worrying about ever again.
Alright, so I've seen it. I don't want to ever see it again.
Yeah, you're good.
yeah, it's fine. I mostly just want to do it so that I can get all of the various banner unlocks, so I can get a banner I like.
See, I mean, that's the kind of stuff that would drive me crazy also about starting over on the Switch. Like, it's one thing to say, I played it on the PC and didn't play it much because I didn't like it, and then get invested on console. But, like, to have been super invested on the PC for years and have my accumulated pets and banners and wings and cosmetic goodies and then start over would be weird. It's not as bad as it could be because at least having seasons means having fresh characters is something that you're used to and you're kind of always in that mindset. But losing all my cosmetic stuff was super sad.
I just wish the two were connected, because, like, I would love to have all of the Nintendo-themed cosmetics on my PC version as well. Because, like, the Triforce character frame is cool.
I'm more amused by the Ganondorf cosmetic set.
I'm happy that you don't have to wear the Ganondorf head.
So I'm probably going to need to talk to you guys at some point to figure out how I should be doing this whole seasonal play thing.
Yeah, it took me a while to figure out. Or I'm not convinced I'm doing it right, but I'm definitely doing things.
Doing things is good, and it is not super complicated. You look at the season journey, and it lists a bunch of stuff to do, and you do it, and you get fabulous prizes.
Yeah, just start
Basically.
doing the journey things.
Now, is Paragon mode something that's going to unlock once I hit 70 or something?
Yeah,
Yes.
it just happens. Yeah, you just start accumulating Paragon experience instead of regular level experience.
Now, does that carry over from season to season?
It
Sort of?
does.
Kind of.
So the experience carries over, not the absolute level. So when you, and it doesn't carry over to the next season, but it carries over from your seasonal character back into your non-seasonal character group. So you start out with a new character, your first character ever in a new season, and you get 100 Paragon levels. And the season ends, that character becomes non-seasonal, and it has 100 Paragon levels. And then in the next season, you make a new character, and it gets 300 Paragon levels. When the season ends, you get 300 Paragon levels worth of experience added to your total character pool. So you have your original 100, and you might have like 150 levels worth on top of that.
But to answer your original question, you start each season with no Paragon levels.
Correct. Which is why the seasons are fun, because everyone is level. I guess just a total level playing field.
But, like, starting this version, there was no reason for me not to do seasonal. It's not like I had stuff to fall back on if I wanted to.
And there's no reason not to do seasonal anyway. I think you're always going to get a full set of gear for whatever class you're playing. You're always going to get some fun cosmetic stuff. Like, it's pretty much always worth at least going through, like, the first 4 chapters.
Yeah, the whole thing definitely makes a lot more sense to me now than it ever did before.
Yeah, this is a game where the control scheme mattered a lot to me.
It mattered to me a lot more than I realized it mattered.
That too. Yeah, I just figured, oh, it's Diablo. Like, Diablo is Diablo is Diablo. This will just be more Diablo.
Yeah, I was very surprised. Like, I brought it over because I was like, wow, this was an interesting thing. And then you played it for like 5 minutes. It was like, oh, seems fine. I was very surprised that you then went and picked it up.
Yeah, it was one of those things where I had to ruminate on it a little bit, and then I was like, that was actually a lot more fun. Like, that was more control than I ever felt. Like, I guess the problem with Diablo is I always feel like I'm really out of control. I'm just, like, clicking and smashing at random. I'm not really making intelligent decisions while I'm playing that game. And I'm hoping I have, like, to me, it feels like, oh, my gear and everything is going to be good enough to carry me through this nonsense situation. Whereas in this game, it's like, no, I think I could actually go against harder enemies, like enemies that outscale my gear, and I could outthink and outwit them, and I could, like, know my build well enough to be able to come up with creative solutions. It doesn't feel like I'm just hoping that my numbers are big enough to carry me through my skill deficit.
I mean, there's probably going to come a point where gear is the only answer to being able to run stuff.
I mean, that's totally fine, but, like, that also means that stuff is going to be quite hard. And, like, it's also going to expect you to be pretty darn good at the game. Whereas, like, all of that stuff, I basically would expect to be completely locked off to me in the PC version.
Are there Primal Ancients on the Switch version?
I don't know.
Like, I assume there would be, but I don't actually know. So that on the PC version at least, once you have cleared a Greater Rift level 70, and I think nowhere does it tell you this, but once you've cleared a Greater Rift 70, you then unlock the ability for Primal Ancient Legendaries to drop. They're basically maxed out Ancient Legendaries with supposedly some of the best possible sets of stats.
And presumably sweet loots.
Well, I mean, yeah.
I mean, the thing with Diablo 3 is after a point, it's all about you are going towards a specific build. So, like, you want a specific set of items, and that will make you be able to do things that you couldn't do normally without those items. Like, there's a lot of times where a resource spender then becomes your basic attack because of the gear that you're then wearing.
The charge set for barbarians is so...
And I like the way that Diablo does that as a mechanic. I mean, it's not unique in games to do it this way, but the fact that you can customize your build through your skills, but also through, at some point, every single thing you're wearing is going to be some sort of legendary, and each one of those things is going to contribute either a set bonus or some specific ability, and you can swap some of those things around to really tailor your build to whatever it is you're trying to do at the moment.
Yeah, I'm not quite there yet. I'm still, like, in the, here doing all of the basic bounties in expert mode.
But it's fun doing that, and it's fun getting a bounty cache at the end of it and opening it up and seeing all the loot that drops out. And then some of those things might be legendaries, and you get to play with those and figure out what they do and if you like them.
Well, in this
how do
season
you get
especially is
bounty caches?
Oh, okay. So in a given area, there will be a bunch of bounties that are marked with, like, a star or something like that.
Well, it's just, yeah. Like, they're the actual bounties. I don't know what it looks
You
like.
have to do basically, like, an entire act's
all the bounties
worth of
from a given
bounties.
act.
Right.
Yeah.
There's like 5 bounties within each act, and if you do all 5 within a given act, you will get a bounty cache. It's full of delicious stuff.
And especially during this season, you're getting double bounty caches every time you do that.
And there's particular crafting mats that, like, only come out of those.
Yeah, like,
is this something I have to get, like, that shows up in the actual bounty I do?
No, once you do all 5, you go back to the hub and talk to Tyrael.
Yeah, and then he'll give you a box, and you open the box and it's full of stuff.
And that's also how you get your crafting material. Not crafting materials, but your crafting patterns.
Yeah, like, that's a guaranteed way to get crafting patterns and gem patterns. I mean, trying to explain this to people and a few other things about Diablo, it is sort of frustrating the amount of things in the game that are just not really explained in the game. Like, I've picked them up through osmosis over the years of playing, and like, what is this? Look it up. Oh, that's what that does. But it would be nice if some of this was explained somehow within the framework of the game.
And this is, again, possibly a problem with Diablo, is basically everything about the story or the text or whatever of Diablo, I'm like, they don't do a good job at making me want to read what or listen to what they're saying.
I mean, Diablo is very much a Warhammer 40k-esque storytelling experience. Big evil forces, lots of clashes, lots of fighting, demons, what I would classify as big dumb fun. So, what I feel like is not going to be big dumb fun, but also fun. Grace, tell us about She-Ra.
Yeah, so I know this ties into what we were talking about with Pokemon, and things are different and people complain, but actually they're pretty good.
No spoilers.
I've been watching a couple episodes of the new She-Ra on Netflix, and I just wanted to take a minute to gush about it because it's surprisingly great.
It's remarkably great. I don't think it's surprising. Noel Stevenson's amazing.
I mean, I saw when it was announced, and the backlash from idiots who didn't like the character design. And I admit that as a fan of the original, I was surprised. It was definitely different, but like, whatever. It's a kid's show. This is fine. No, actually, the art style is pretty great. And the show itself has just been a delight so far. I don't know. It made me really happy. It's like if Steven Universe and the new Voltron had a beautiful baby.
I've been really looking forward to this. I really love Nimona.
Yeah, Nimona was fantastic. And yeah.
Ginger Hazing, Noel Stevens is the one who did that, and she's also the showrunner for this, so I'm super pumped. I haven't gotten to see it yet, but I cannot wait.
Yeah, I've watched the first 2 episodes, and they were pretty much exactly what I expected, having read Nimona. They were fantastic. Bo is wonderful, and
yeah, like
Bo's just the nicest. He's so great.
But yeah, I came to this without a whole lot of preconceptions, but I just every single episode I've watched the first 3, and like they've all just made me laugh out loud. And they've been I think a lot like the new Voltron, like I don't know, for what is somewhat a kid's show, they have surprising depth and thoughtfulness to them.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, so I've watched like the first couple episodes of the Star Wars Resistance, and boy, like comparing this to that, like as much as I love Star Wars and as much as I want to keep watching new Star Wars, the characters and storytelling in She-Ra are way better in my opinion.
Yeah. So I mean, I'm pretty sure Catra got more character development in the first episode of this than in the entire original series.
Yes, and it's fantastic.
I do, because I am a Masters of the Universe fan and have been for a long time, and I really loved the reboot that happened about 15 years ago now, and was really sad when it got canceled before they got into the Hordak story that they had started teasing. I would very much like if multiple seasons down the road, like certainly no sooner than say season 4, they were able to maybe wrap up that dangling plot thread from over there as a She-Ra story. I do not think He-Man should show up in this show like anytime at all soon.
No,
I think Evelyn should, maybe in season 3. Like make that the first connection to Eternia proper.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, I think it definitely needs a couple seasons to stand on its own before it starts connecting those dots.
Yeah, Like I hope it does happen eventually, but it doesn't need to happen anytime soon, and it needs to happen in a way that is a She-Ra story.
Yes.
We don't need to see the series finale of Enterprise happening again.
But yeah, the characters have all been great. The storytelling has been really solid. I don't know, and there's just a lot of little dynamics of things that make me smile. Like just the interaction between Glimmer and her mother, and like it's so perfect. It's like, oh, it's like looking back into my own past.
Yeah.
Like my own relationship with my mom, like it's so spot on.
I've seen people say that they really dislike Glimmer, like people whom I respect, and I don't understand. Like, it's not her fault.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what else happens, further into the season, but like so far.
No, I think it was entirely based on like the first 2 episodes.
I mean, I was sort of reserving judgment initially, but like by the end of the second episode, like I know I'm sold.
Yeah,
she's great.
Like I get being exasperated by her some, like particularly in the first episode, but like it all makes sense. It's understandable.
I'm looking forward to watching it. Like, it was one of those things that, like, I knew was on the radar, but I am so disconnected from everything right now that I don't ever know when anything's coming out.
Yeah. Speaking of Netflix, the next season of Mystery Science Theater drops on Thanksgiving.
Turkey Day!
Yes. And the Turkey Day
That's
Marathon,
awesome.
If you are listening the day that we posted this, the Turkey Day Marathon is happening today. Go watch it on Shout Factory.
It is a little weird to not have the Turkey Day Marathon on Turkey Day, but new episodes on Turkey Day is also great.
Yeah, that makes up for it. One of which is apparently Mac and Me, so I guess I'm finally going to see that movie.
I've never seen that movie.
I've seen the same clip of that movie over and over.
Exactly!
But other than that...
That one clip.
Yes. Yeah, for anybody who doesn't know, anytime Paul Rudd comes on Conan O'Brien to plug his latest movie, when they go to show the clip of the movie, they show a clip from Mac and Me. And it's like the same clip every time. And that's the entirety of what I've seen of Mac and Me.
Well,
so as disconnected as I've been, I had to have someone on Twitter tell me that Hellgate London had released, even though I knew it was releasing this past week. And that's been a thing. I was super hoping that this would be like a reasonable version of Hellgate London.
You hoped in vain.
Is there a reasonable version of Hellgate London?
The original is still rather good. Like, there is a Hellgate revival patch that like adds in super high res textures and modern resolutions, and there's like London 2038, which is like a server emulator that allows you to play the multiplayer. So yeah, I was hoping maybe we would get something kind of close to that. That is not at all what happened. So there's a whole sequence of events that's happened with Hellgate. Like, obviously the first game did not do as well as expected and had all sorts of issues, and the flagship studios ended up like filing bankruptcy a year and a half after the release, and the bank that they owed money to ended up with the assets, which then sold them to a South Korean company called Hanbitsoft, which tweaked a bunch of stuff and made like a mini expansion out of unreleased content, and that largely was functional for a bunch of years, and it was single player. Then in 2014, they released a thing called Hellgate Global, which was their attempt to turn Hellgate into an MMO. And it made a ton of changes to the game. And I actually did play that a little bit, and it was okay-ish, but it was still really weird. So apparently what got released on Steam is they took the Hellgate MMO and made it single player again. For whatever reason, it lost DirectX 10 support, and now it's just DirectX 9.
Weird.
And all of this would be okay-ish. You like if you're running on Like, it will run 4K resolutions, weird enough. And it has a super high res texture pack, which is not bad. But the problem is there is a massive issue where you'll be running along and then all of a sudden the frame rate just drops to 1. And you have to wait for the game to stop, freaking out and then resume back to normal. So as long as that bug is in place, it is not playable.
Ugh.
Wow.
I've tried a bunch of things to try and fix this. Supposedly, if you're a Windows 7 user, you do not see this issue. So it's something with Windows 10, or I don't know. So yeah, I'm hoping this gets fixed. Because I'd really like to see what the Hellgate Seoul stuff is that they released and the Hellgate Tokyo stuff that they released. Because I've never seen any of that content. But yeah, do not pick this game up, at least not right now. Even though it was only like $9. And I griefed Ash a copy. But yeah, like hopefully at some point they'll fix it.
I mean, I still want to poke around on it just because I never played it, and I know how near and dear to your heart it is, but it doesn't sound like it's in a great place to even check it out now.
Okay, so the worst part about it, and this is a stupid thing, is the game was originally in English, and then it got localized to Korean. And now it's been localized back from Korean to English.
Oh, God.
There's some questionable dialogue that just doesn't make sense. Like, I mentioned in my blog that, like, one of my favorite things is Rosewater Stone, which is fun with Google Translate. And some of the quest dialogue is very similar. Like, this just doesn't quite make sense. So, I don't know, like, I would love to see somebody re-release the original game. So that you can at least have a way to get a client that would work with London 2038. Because, like, right now, the best way to play Hellgate is to go on eBay and buy an original CD and get it installed and download Hellgate Revival and set up the multiplayer server patch. And that is a lot of steps.
I gotta say, I'm curious about a possible Switch release.
It would probably play just fine on the Switch.
Also, it sounded like more convoluted steps than it took to get Phantasy Star Online 2 running.
Yeah, no, like this is other than the kanji boss, this is way more. Like, honestly, it was easier for me to get... It was a
hiragana boss.
Yeah. It was easier for me to get Monster Hunter Online working.
Ooh.
Yeah. Although, like, London 2038 did not exist when I last was piddling around with London a few years back, or Hellgate London. So I do want to now go back, get it all set up, get Hellgate Revival installed, and try the multiplayer server, because apparently, like, it's really good. Like, even though it's calling itself in alpha, like, it supposedly emulates everything the original game did and lag-free. Because, like, playing it multiplayer when it worked was really fun. And lastly, I think people have been playing a lot more Fallout 76 now that it's officially launched.
Yes.
I've been playing quite a bit of Fallout 76 whenever I'm not playing Diablo.
It's rather good.
It's rather good. I think it's a lot better as a multiplayer experience than as a single player experience.
Yes.
Like, it is tuned for a multiplayer experience, which means some encounters can be kind of overwhelming as a single player experience.
But at the same token, it's still fun multiplayer, or still fun single player.
It is fun, but my experience playing single player is like, boy, do I scrimp by on the resources that I earn in any given amount of time. And it feels like I'm just treading water a lot of times. Whereas when I'm doing multiplayer, I can, because of the way loot works, like, everyone has their own loot, but you only need, like, if you only need to put 3 bullets into something to kill it, each person puts 1 bullet in, and they each get a full suite of loot off of it.
Yeah.
And at times, counting bullets matters in this game.
It's interesting, because I have when I play by myself, what I'm doing is doing quests and like story quests, and as a result, like I have more bullets than I know what to do with.
I also have more bullets than I know what to do with.
Obviously, I know what to do with bullets, but
when I play, I mostly just explore randomly.
What I find interesting is that there's a bunch of things that you can do to like get more resources, especially like rarer resources, like claiming a workshop and setting up the workshop to farm resources for you and then defending that workshop while it farms your resources and you work on other stuff. Feels like an absolute waste of time solo, but feels great multiplayer. And I feel like that's a really big thing that works.
Why do they feel so different?
Because what'll happen is if you hop into one of these like locations, you can claim a workshop. Claiming a workshop takes us a bit of caps, and it's this huge build space. And usually what they've got in them is unique per workshop, like resource nodes that let you just straight collect resources or build resource extractors to let you get some amount of resources per time. But you've got to build the resource generator, you've got to build the power to power the resource generator, and like all of this uses a lot of resources. And in some cases, if you want to get like the really nice stuff, you've got to build these kind of elaborate structures just to support whatever resource you're extracting. And if you're just doing it by yourself, you're spending more resources than you're realistically going to get in that time period.
So doing it multiplayer, everyone splits the cost then.
Yeah, exactly. Nice. Doing it multiplayer, everybody is splitting the cost. And because everybody's splitting the cost and everybody's, reaping the rewards, you've got a lot of just cool, you can get a bunch of cool resources. And like, especially because one of the things that'll happen is if you've claimed a space, you'll have just massive swarms of enemies come in and basically try to take it from you.
Yeah, you have to defend against a big group of enemies.
Yeah, and that'll run you out of resources too really quick because it's a thing meant to be
well, and you're only given a certain amount of time to build up your defenses as well.
Yeah. There is a little bit of a caveat to this. Workspaces come with some free resources, specifically resources that can only be used to build stuff.
Yeah, but that infusion is the same if you've showed up with 2 people or 5.
Yes.
But yeah, it's kind of neat. It's neat to see it. It's neat to play it. I think that really the true end game is vanity.
Vanity is the true end game of most things, and I'm very bad at the true end game of most things because, like, I guess in a lot of cases I don't see my character a lot. Like, I'm usually far enough away, and even in Fallout, it's like, oh, I'm first person control. Like, why do I care about what I look or all of my various vanity options? Oh no. This game has successfully managed to make me care.
It's brilliant. So, you know how games have photo mode? You can take like strangely elaborate setups for pictures.
Yes, I love the increasing prevalence of this feature.
This game has so much of it. You can
postcards.
You can make pictures. You can make picture postcards with your friends. Like, you play with some friends. You take pictures of you and your friends doing whatever incredible nonsense you get up to, and you're probably getting up to some incredible nonsense, and they become your loading screens.
Oh, that's brilliant.
It's brilliant.
So this is why before the podcast we were like, "Oh, I love Fallout 76 loading screens," and I believe Bel's comment was, "That doesn't make any sense."
Yeah, because like, I don't ever take the photo mode screenshots. Like, I mean, I take screenshots, but I take them, like, I take all other screenshots.
Oh, no. We were playing, it was Kodra, myself, and Shiana. We were all running around, and we would, like, stop. Like, at one point, Shiana was like, okay, we're going to take a picture. I have costumes. We're gonna take pictures in costume. And we, like, take a picture in costume. And so, like, one of the things that pops up whenever I do this is I've got this sepia toned like Civil War reenactment site that we're at. And like there's another one where we're in a water park. And it has completely changed my goals in this game. What incredibly silly situations can I get into with my friends that will generate a picture that will become our loading screens?
This started with Shiana and I. We were playing last night, and we saw like a warning, a nuke is about to drop. And so Shiana was like, ooh, let's try and find a good place to watch this go off. And then we got a bunch of good like postcard pictures of me and him like with the nuclear explosion in the background. And
yeah, like I can see where this is going, and like, hey, it's us and a Deathclaw. This is the Deathclaw we met.
Yes.
It's gonna be hilarious.
I have not played anywhere near as much Fallout 76 as I would have liked to, because there's just too much stuff out right now.
There's a lot of stuff.
There is a lot of stuff.
So the resource you get from taking warehouses, though, it's, as far as we can tell, one of the very few ways to get fully charged fusion cores. The fuel for power armor.
Every resource thing is different. Like you've been going to power plants.
Yes.
I took an airport.
Ooh, what was that?
Oil and copper.
Oh, neat. So there was also...
And Vertibot signal grenades.
Oh, weird.
Wait, what?
So Brotherhood of Steel has vertibirds, right?
Sure.
But there's no people in Fallout 76. So these are vertibots. They're just, I don't know, automated planes. And I haven't used any yet, but I've collected a not insignificant number of signal grenades. And I'm pretty sure what I can use these for is to call a vertibird in.
That's hilarious.
That's really funny. There's like, if I keep this place defended, it has landing pads, and these little boxes next to vertibots will get restocked. I can collect grenades from them, or signal flares, I guess.
So I found out that there's a weapon in the game that I've not encountered yet. But do you remember the female robots from Fallout 4 that were just brutal to fight?
Oh, the melee and laser ones?
Yes, the melee and laser ones. So apparently you can find like the head of one of those and then use it as a weapon that charges up, and you can like basically fire a giant laser at someone.
This seems like a thing this game would do.
Like, it apparently has no ammo, because like you actually have to charge it, and it takes 12 seconds to charge it. But like you could just laser beam the hell out of something.
But yeah,
that sounds really funny.
All of these workbenches are like your premium PvP locations. Like, mostly I don't think I've ever had PvP happen to be in this game. You sort of like have to opt into PvP to use some of these like long-term resource generating workbenches. But it's one of those things where, for me, it's the only time I would feel okay with PvP, because rather than somebody fighting me because like, oh, they just want to be a dick to me, it's like, no, there's a good reason you want to fight me, because I have something awesome that's generating me a ton of value, and you want to have that value for yourself. And like, maybe we come to some sort of an agreement rather than PvP over it, or maybe we just have to have a scrap. But like, I kind of respect that more. But like, out in the main world is kind of scary enough. You don't really need to be fighting each other.
It's true. And mostly outside of like the blatant newbie area, I just don't see it happen. Like, I will see somebody roll up and they'll wave. You're like, hey, what's up?
Well, and honestly, like, as you're just roaming around, especially single player, like, you can go a really long time without ever seeing another person.
Yeah, the player density is tiny.
Yes.
Like, maybe 20 people on a map.
And I mean, you don't get any resources for killing another human unless it's to take a location, and you are definitely expending resources. Or they're a bounty, which they're only a bounty if they've been a giant jackass.
Yeah, I saw a guy who had a big bounty, and so I'm like, all right, look.
You did something wrong.
Yep, like, you brought this on yourself. I had somebody had somebody like try to shoot me a number of times, but unless you fight back, it does next to no damage to you. It's like 1 hit point worth of damage. So you can just ignore it. And it's my favorite thing because like, oh, if you just ignore this griefer, they are burning through resources and failing to bother you. And there's something like...
That just suddenly sort of sold me on this because I hate like non-opt-out PvP, but that as a mechanic really speaks to me.
Yeah, that makes me a lot more willing to
like,
try this game.
It's not an insignificant thing to get these resources. Like, so the fact that they're burning through resources means they're going to have to play for a while and struggle for a bit to get those resources back.
Yeah, like if they're wasting a bullet on you, I mean, sure, they may have a bunch, but that's something they're not going to get back. And if they're not getting any return from it, you're just wasting their time and making them look stupid. And they know it, and you know it.
Okay, that's kind of awesome.
And it's pretty great. And like, you can see people, like I've seen people try to grief me, fail, and get like visibly annoyed. And like, it's hilarious to me. It's just like, oh, this is super satisfying because I just keep on doing what I'm doing. And as they're jumping around in whatever, I'll just ignore them. Like, I played MMOs. I know how to ignore other players that I don't feel like paying attention to. They have a very difficult time making it worth my while to pay attention to them if I don't want to. So that's a pretty good feeling. I don't know that I'm at the point where I see another player and I'm actively happy to see this other player, which is I think the key to successful random people online multiplayer. Like I don't think it's quite accomplished that, but like it's neutral. Like this other player is probably not going to annoy me too much. There's still some weird resource limiting functionality that I don't think is terribly well thought through. Like loot in most boxes is unique to the player, but loot that's just like sitting out is not. It respawns on a short timer, but it's just whoever the first person to pick it up is.
Yeah, which means like if you roll up on some power armor, only the first person in the group to grab it is going to get it. Like, because I got all excited one time when we were running around that I found a minigun. Well, it was out in the world, and I ended up with the only copy.
That's sort of what they try and do, I think, for some of their rarer items. Like, I know that I've seen that for stealth boys. I've seen that for miniguns.
Well, and like I ended up moving my base to a different area of the map, and then I looked at like there are some maps that have been player generated that show where stuff's at, and supposedly there's like a power armor right by where my base is at. So like I've continued to go over there, but I've never seen it actually spawned in. And there's almost always been a player that's come through just before I got over there again.
There's also so fast travel costs caps, except for a few exceptions. Fast traveling to teammates is free, and fast traveling to your base is free. So if your team has strategically located their bases around the map, you can get a lot of free fast travel when you're in a group of people.
Yeah, that part is super great. Like, oh, do I want to go play with my friends? Cool, I can. It's free. No resource expenditure to hop in and go to wherever my friends are.
Also, I've been playing with Shiana, who is like level 30. I was level 10 when I started playing with Shiana. He was level 25. It was fine. It was totally like level does not matter that much. And like we were fighting things that were level 46.
Well, like when you two were starting to play with me during the beta, you were both like level 1 and I was almost level 10, so it wasn't even a thing back then.
Yeah, it's a great feeling. Like we can play with friends even if they're not remotely the same. Like we're not even remotely the same level.
And like we were fighting enemies that Shiana wouldn't have fought, and we were able to take them down because the added second body matters a lot. Like, you aren't getting carried. You're a contributor.
Yeah, I have no idea how the level scaling actually works, but like the first time I saw a thing that was like that thing's level 32, and Shiana's like, "I'm not gonna fight. I don't want to fight that thing," and it came at us anyway. But we fought it and we won, and I was like, "Oh, cool! Like we got a bunch of loot, and it feels good. Like we were able to take it down, even though I was like level 10 at the time."
And then we found a level 46 Nellygaster out in the middle of a irradiated swamp. And Shiana was like, all right, I'm going to do a bad idea. And we all took up sniper positions and just like sniped it from halfway across the map and slowly whittled it down. And we got named muskets out of it. We can't use them until we're level 45, but that's awesome.
Yeah, it was really cool.
That was the problem with the minigun that I found, is I couldn't use it until level 35.
That definitely starts happening. Like, gear is definitely level blocked, and yeah. I am looking, like, the way to do builds in this game is also very cool. Like, there are a lot of interesting builds that are available to you. I am playing a healer. I am really excited about playing this healer.
I'm playing a crafter. I am playing a crafter and Mr. Gets Doors Open.
Oh, and crafter is so important because, like, yeah, items that don't break fast are really, really valuable.
Yeah, like, Kodra has a charisma build, which is great for healing, great for lots and lots of really cool passive group buffs. Like, if Kodra's in my party, I get passively a bunch of extra XP. I break stuff down more efficiently than anybody, and my stuff is easier to repair. It costs me less to repair stuff, it stays repaired longer, and I can get more materials from breaking stuff down. And in a game that's significantly about resource management, that matters a lot.
I am probably going to dip into intelligence because I want to extend the usage. I want to be a power armor user, and I want to have good, efficient usage of my fusion cores.
Yeah, I'm kind of looking forward to being able to do that.
I might have spent this whole podcast crouched next to a fusion core processor, getting them for me and Shiana.
But yeah, long story short, it is much more fun than I think certainly either of us were expecting.
Oh, definitely.
It's also like way more fun than the general consensus of reviews would tell you.
I kind of think I would understand how people would play this single player and not get the same, like, a touchy-feely that I got. Because we played in beta as a party, and I kind of was like, this is okay single player. I'm kind of getting, like, a little lost, a little bored, a little overwhelmed. Maybe I don't have enough focus for something like this, and I can see it being a little disjointed. But in a group, it just transforms into something so much fun.
Whereas I like it playing with a group, but it's a totally different game experience. And I also really enjoy just wandering around by myself.
Oh, yeah.
Just looking for stuff.
Yeah, if I want story snippets, I'm going to play solo. If I want to do like group events or go wander, I want to do that with a group. And it's pretty fun being able to swap fairly elegantly back and forth between the two.
Well, and like there's a lot of story there. Like I know what happened to all the people.
Yeah, they died.
I only know that because of the like a sequence of story things. Like so I have a general hunch of like what happened to the survivors that like made it out here and weren't necessarily irradiated out of existence.
There is some very fair, like, Bethesda does this very, very well, but figuring out player psychology, where they're going to go, and then getting them to go in a specific order to tell a cohesive story. Like, this entire story that we're doing about this kidnapped kid, we started that after we already found the kid's father's ranch and learned about, like, how the kid's family felt about him. We just didn't know that he was going to be anything big. And then, like, the next step on our path took us to a place where we discovered that the kid was kidnapped. And now we're following this mystery, and I'm like, oh, this was the kid that I read about at that house back there.
Yeah.
Oh, wow, they know what routes I'm going to take. They have planned this very, very well.
I won't break the illusion for you.
Oh, that they planned this, or that it was just luck, or what?
No. I find it fascinating because having like written this kind of stuff before, the super careful, like super difficult thing to do is build it such that it doesn't matter how you approach it.
Oh, okay.
And then
once like if we approached it the opposite way, like we'd do all of the rescue and then discover the story about the kid's sort of asshole father at the end.
Yeah, exactly. You'd be like, oh, hey, this gives a bunch of context to the story that we were doing. And either way, it works and feels pretty good. But each way you do it feels like it was engineered regardless. And that's always fun. But I do really enjoy the like, this story is being told, like, we found this interesting story through this particular route, but it could have been this totally other route. All of these interlocking pieces that have provide more and more context.
Well, I think at this point we should probably wrap things up because I am thinking we will have gone a little over.
I think so.
A little bit, yeah.
Anyway, hopefully you enjoyed the show, and we will see you again next week. We will probably have other things to talk about. Good night.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night.
See you.